morning, absolute crack of dawn, just left the hotel. Paul's got us on a wild goose chase going through the middle of the French countryside. I've got no idea where we're going for the early morning challenge, so I'm hoping it's a Monopoly contest or a Scrabble competition. That's my hope, but I've got a horrible, horrible feeling it's not going to be as pleasant as that. It's bloody freezing here. God, where has he got us out here so early? That's it. I need to warm me up. Warm me up.
Challenge time.
Yeah. So, crack of dawn. Paul's got us on a wild goose chase. We've been driving all through the lanes in the middle of France, and we've got a challenge this morning. So none of us have a clue what it is, and the big man's here to pass it over. So come on in, let's get it out of the way. Wet and Wild is the title. Oof. You're going to have some fun and go jet skiing. I've never ever jet skied. Have you?
A little bit, tiny bit.
Have you?
Not really. Liar.
You lie. I know you're lying.
Liar.
First of all, you need to get through a duck apple challenge with a twist. Each of you will have a 10 litres bucket of their favourite liquid from your bait company. S7 Hydro Week for me, and you've got Activate.
Oh, you're joking.
One of the IV.
And each bucket is a 3-ounce lead. Find the lead with your mouth only. First to get the lead has a head start on the jet bike. Fastest one is first choice, second is second choice, third is third choice. Good luck.
You could just drink it, Jake.
God. I'm not sticking my head in a bucket of S7.
They are two bad liquids.
Sometimes being bald has its advantages.
Oh, my hair.
Oh no. All in the
do this?
beard.
Right, let's go.
Oh,
Let's had a bad one.
My God, let's do this.
I'm already presuming that they're sticking me in the middle, because this one's well over full, much more than these two outsiders. They need to be filled up or I'm having the outside line. That is not happening again. I ain't getting rolled on another challenge.
Well, lads, this don't look good, but I see you there.
Oh, you no.
Got the net.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
What was it?
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
What do you use? His hands? Yeah, hang on about, yeah.
My iPhone don't look like that.
Ah, it's in my eyes.
My eye, not down the wall.
My eyes. Who won? Drinking that fish soup on the first one was absolutely nothing compared to this. That's without a doubt the worst one by a mile. By a mile. Oh my God. I still won. Yes, we do.
You got Dan. Last again.
You're rubbish at everything.
47.79. You had a 2-second gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dave, you've got 44.08, but you had a 2-second gap.
400.
So, you had a 2-second gap. Right, so it was 46.08. So Jay's the winner with 45 there.
Yes. Oh, boy. About time I won again, isn't it?
Yeah, well done, man. You're lucky. If I hadn't got the 2-second thing, I'd have won. But I'm getting bored of winning.
Hold on, what is that now? So this is the... How many challenges have we done?
4.
I've won 2.
He's won 2.
You've won 2.
About 2 seconds and 2/3.
2/3. 2/3. I came 3/4.
Right, let's do this.
No, let's not bother.
Excellent.
Move back to the future.
I don't got time to hear about the questions. Rap serial killer looking for another victim. Come and get your issue. Me rolling with the 9 fist, slashing at your motherfuckers like
Look at this, look. Coming down the hard shoulder. Jesus Christ. Absolute English fool.
that's the way we do it.
Crazy. Okay, so we're going to Croatia. We're going to be passing through Slovenia. So when you're on the motorway, you'll see an orange sign that says vignette. You need to go into somewhere like this place. It might also be a petrol station, but as soon as you see this orange sign, pull into the next place and go and get a vignette. Let's go in and get one. Okay, so the vignette's been bought. It looks like this. And basically, peel it over. And what you do, you end up with that and you end up with that. What you then do, stick it in the windscreen, so when you're driving down the motorway, the cameras can see that you've got a vignette and you won't get a massive, great big fine.
So in the hotel room, and me and Dan, it's midnight, drinking a few beers, getting spoiled up. Got all your reels done, Dan?
2 are done with the orbit, just putting a new spot of marker braid. What's already on the marker rod, just putting it on the spod rod. And then a couple of rigs, probably get to bed about 2 o'clock tonight, I reckon.
Yeah, I've just finished tying my rigs.
Leaders are done.
3 rods with lead core, leadless leader on in camouflage. And you just see my rigs there, beak points.
Go and have a look at the bathroom.
Yeah, we've been driving today. We've probably done 10 hours driving to get here. Look round the lake.
Flooded it.
Dan's flooded the bathroom floor. There's line everywhere. My arse is killing. How's your arse, Dan?
Aching like.
Oh, we need leather seats.
The hotels, the food, the scenery, just ain't cutting it. We'd like an upgrade.
Come on, man, up the game.
So we've made it. We're finally here in Croatia. We're at a real premier lake in Europe, one of the finest lakes in the world. You join us at Zajarki. I cannot wait to get started. I know these two can't. It's been one hell of a journey.
Nice and comfortable. We've arrived. We're going to start fishing tomorrow. And yeah, I'm just looking at the swim mat behind. Looks absolutely class. There's even a swim called Mungo's. So if I get a good draw and it's still available, I might have to jump in there. It might be a good luck sign.
Well, I'm first in the draw, so I'm taking Mungo's. But yeah,
He wouldn't do that, he wouldn't.
I wouldn't do it. It looks brilliant, and what we've been told about this lake is, at the moment, possibly the best lake in the world for big carp. So we're absolutely buzzing off our nuts.
Even though we've got free swims, there's all English people on here this week. It's a lake exclusive for the English people. Very fortunate for us, we've been included. Can't wait to get started. There's lots of big fish in here.
Multiple 80s, multiple 70s, there's 60s, 50s, 40s. Unbelievable stock of fish. That doesn't mean they're going to be easy to catch. We're going to have to do all we can and use all the skills of casting a long way, a lot of spodding to try and snare some of these big fish. It's going to be hard work this week, I tell you.
The fish actually range from £3 all the way up in excess of £90. So every time one of those rods go, you never know what's going to be in the end. It could be a PB, it could be a potential world record, because they do believe that some of the fish in here are in excess of £100, which is beyond belief. We're here, the rods are going to be going out, and none of us can wait to get started.
Okay, so we've just done the draw, and out of 15 I come out 8th. which ain't brilliant, but it weren't too bad. But I've managed to get the swim I want, swim 9. Jay's managed to get in swim 10, so we're going to double up with Dan in 9. We'll all be nice and close. There's plenty of fish in that area. It's just going to be a case now of getting over, seeing what features are in front of that swim and getting some bait in.
Really excited, can't wait to get round there, unload the van, find some spots and give these carp some bait.
Right, I think the way I'm going to start my baiting approach is pretty similar to what I do in England. I'm going to crush the bait, which is really simple using the crusher. You've seen this a load of times on these videos. I'm literally crushing up a whole bucket and we're going to be using a lot of bait, so I'll be crushing it up into a fine dust, and into that I'll be adding some pellet, this mainline response pellet, the PVA one. I love this stuff, so I'm going to crush that bait up, then probably half a pot of tiger nuts, because someone told me they like tiger nuts on here, so I made sure I brought plenty with me. So I'm going to crush this up now and I'm going to give you a little look what it looks like, and we'll chuck some in the lake and I'll show you how when you crush bait it covers a massive area. One spawn will cover an area of 6 foot, and if you've just got boilies in a swim, a fish will swim in, they'll clear up 7 or 8 boilies from your spawn and swim off. 7 or 8 boilies crushed into a dust will cover a 6 foot area. It will keep the fish in the swim longer and you have more chance of a bite. So it's only took me about 10 minutes to crush a whole bucket of bait. I've already prepped one there, and you can see one thing about this lake, if you ever get the opportunity to fish it, they really like bait. The more you can put in, the longer you can hold the fish, but from what I've heard, you won't hold them for long. You can put 40 kilo out there. When a shoal moves through, you've just got to catch as many as you can and they're going to move off. So I've got 2 buckets ready. There's a bucket of crush. Now I'm going to add the other stuff to it. I'm going to add some pellet and some tiger nuts. But the great thing about our crusher is you can put anything through it. It's got a super tough plate on the bottom, that one there, and that means you can crush nuts or anything through it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick the lid back on. We're going to put some tigers through it. Tigers in. I like using the mainline tigers because they're sweeter than normal, because they've got the multi-stim in with them. And you can hear they're being crushed through that plate. And the tiger nut is quite an oily nut, so when you crush it and break it into lots of bits, you're putting a lot more oil into the water column, which is coming up off the bottom, bringing all sorts of smells and tastes with it, and any fish moving through that water column are being trapped immediately and drawn down to the bottom where your hook baits are waiting. So there you can see, they've smashed them tiger nuts into lots of small pieces where they're going to release a lot more oil. If you've got one of the older crushers with the old plate on the bottom, don't worry about it, because you can buy the thicker plate separately in the shops, so you'll be able to crush tiger nuts as well. So now I've got the bait crushed, I've got the tiger nuts crushed, I'm going to add the pellet. Lots of small little bits, lots of small different smells coming off the bottom. There we go. I ain't going to go mad with it. Then I'm just going to stir it up. Look at that. You can imagine how that is going to look on the bottom. All sorts of smells coming up. All these small pieces are going to hang within the columns of the water, attracting the fish down, pulling them down onto the baited area. And on that baited area is going to be 3 small pop-ups with some super sharp hooks on, waiting for them fish to make a mistake. What I'm doing here is I'm spomming out about 144 yards, which is 38 wraps, onto an area of the lake where there's a gravel bar. It's about 17 foot at the back of this bar, coming up to 10 foot. And then it's probably 2 rod lengths at 10 foot and then drops back down to 15. So it's a prime area for a bite. I'm using the spot and marker braid, which I've been testing since last February. Really impressed with this, and it's absolutely flying out there. The spom itself, when you fill them and you are fishing this distance, make sure once you've filled it, you just give it a little shake, get everything down the nose end so it flies true. And when you're fishing this range, it's all about the speed in which you can get the tip of the rod from the back here to the front. which is going to give you your most power. So the reason why braid is so important when you're spomming is it's got zero stretch in it. So as soon as your spoms hit the water, a quick flick of the braid and it's in direct contact, skimming it across the top. If you was to use something like mono for spomming, as you flick it up, there'll be stretch, you'll be dragging it in, it'll be much harder work. So using braid for spomming, it helps aid the distance because it's very low in diameter, but it also helps because it's got zero stretch and it picks up the rock hit or the spom straight off the surface. When you've found your desired distance, in this case is 30 wraps, make sure you're using a really good spod reel. I like to use the Shimano Ultegras, they've got really nice line clips, doesn't damage the braid in any way. Something I also like to do, it's good to have a mental note, but you don't want to make any mistakes on these week-long sessions. I choose myself an horizon marker, I know it mentally, and I also write the wraps down in my phone or in a notepad. Maximise your chances and make the most of them long week sessions. Just going to tell you about the importance of a finger stool. If you're fishing at these kind of ranges using braid and you ain't wearing a finger stool, you're probably going to lose the top of your finger because it's seriously fine. So get yourself a good finger stool. Even though I've got a RidgeMonkey on this one, this is one someone made for me as a present, made of leather. It's extremely tough. There's plenty on the market just like this. And yeah, don't try casting without one. The area I'm baiting at the moment isn't actually tight. I'm not trying to get my spoms tight to the float. I'm spreading them on about a tennis court size area. And the reason for that is there's massive shoals of carp in this lake. If one comes through and hits my bait, they'll wipe it out in minutes. So I'm spreading bait around the area to keep fish moving in and out of the area from all different directions. This is a method that one of my friends used on here last week, did really well. So I'm going to take Tom's advice and that's how I'm going to fish, especially to start with, and see how we get on.
So the rod's been out about 5 minutes. I've been spodding for about 2.5 hours. I've had to move swims over across a bit more. As you can see, I'm a hot, sweaty mess. And I wasn't going to get the rods out, but guys next to me have had 2 takes. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to ping the rods out on the spot, see what happens. And within 5 minutes, my left-hand rod has roared off, and I've got one hard fighting Croatian carp in the margins. But I think I've actually picked up the guys on the right rod, which is a nightmare because we're fishing pretty close together. And it's just, this is always going to happen. It's an absolute nightmare. So fingers crossed, it's only a baby. And one of the locals has kindly come to help land the fish. So thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. First day carnage. Literally, I've had to move swims 2 minutes ago. It's the day we've had is unbelievable. So yeah, look, we've been spodding all day. The bivvy's up, and I've got a fish in the net. So I couldn't be any happier. Let's unhook this one, put her back, get the rods back out, and see if we can have another one. Because I think if we get some more bait out there, I think we're in for a really, really good week. And I'm fishing long. It's going to be a long, long week. My old arms are going to be hurting, but you know what? It's going to be worth it because the fishing here are massive. Effort equals reward.
Everything go?
There you go, Mr. Carp. So like I said, only a baby, but ain't worth getting them out. Unhook them in the net, let them go, and when Mr. Big One comes along, we can go and get a photo. Once again, thank you, mate.
He's sending the grandmother.
Yeah.
Well, check her out, what an absolutely beautiful carp. My first of the trip at just under 32 pounds. I hope they're all beautiful and clean like this one, I tell you. I ain't gonna mess her about, I'm gonna get her straight back and get that rod back out and try and catch a bigger one. Yeah, it's a good fish, huh? Big fish, huh? Yeah, it's good one. There you go, my first evening bite in the dark, 46 pound and 8 ounces. A very angry common, but very welcome. First good fish of the trip, so hopefully there's more to come. Knew this was a good fish when I hooked it, could tell from the start, had the weight in it. still mad to think they're much bigger in here. And hopefully we're going to snare a few of them this week.
So I'm using the tapered main line on new orbit, and it's absolutely brilliant, you know. You've got the thin, low diameter for your casting, but now when I'm playing the fish in close like I am now, I've got the thick section of the double tapered main line. It's taking all the strain, abrasion resistance over all the stones and the pebbles right under our feet. So here at Zajarki, what you've got to do, there's a 5-minute stipulation. From the second that the fish is in the landing net, you have 5 minutes to get it out, get your fish pictures. Fish safety is absolutely paramount. You've got no time to get your rods back out, trying to get another quick bite. The main thing at this venue is fish safety. So we're going to follow procedures now. I'll put the rod to one side, we'll deal with the fish, and we'll show you this lovely mirror shortly. Well, there you go, my first one to show you. 36 pound of hard fighting Croatian mirror carp coming off the plateau at 120 yards. Let's slip this one back, and fingers crossed it won't be long for one of those monsters to turn up in this swim.
I've been in the swim a little while now. What I've done is I've got the rods out of my maximum range that I can comfortably fish out all week, which is roughly 37 wraps for me. What I'm trying to do is create a massive baited area out there. So I've set the spot up at 36 wraps, and I am filling it in with bait. So as soon as I got here, I crushed up 10 kilo of boilie. I added that to a big black bucket, and then I added 4mm pellet, 8mm pellet, and 6mm pellet. Put a load of this S7 liquid all over it, glugged it all up, and let it sit for about half an hour just to absorb all the juices. What I've actually done as well is I've put 2 3 kilo of just whole boilies just in this corner here, and what I'm doing is I'm spoon feeding them into the mix as I go, because fingers with a crust is really fine bait, and I want some whole baits out there for the fish to sit and move about and pick out. The finer baits can sit on the bottom and they'll keep them coming back constantly all the time, but the boilies are going to sit there and pick off as they go. So now it's going to make the fish easier for me to catch, because they're going to be picking it up, moving to the next bait, and that's what I want them to do with a rig. I want them to come down, pick it up, move off, go to the next bait, bam, 4 ounce lead straight in the bottom lip. Okay, as you can see, the wind's picked up. I've had to move my spot a bit closer. 28 wraps I'm at now, and it's a new spot, and I've been spodding all morning, and just as the spod landed on the surface, this one, middle rod, rattled off. And it's holding water, and swans are going over my line, so yeah, it's a bit hairy at the moment. Yes. Oh, my back is killing me. Who said spodding's easy? So mate. Waistling is zeroed. I find it really important to weigh it before you weigh the fish. I see a lot of people weigh the fish and then take what they think the net weighs off afterwards, and it's never right. So in my opinion, weigh this first, get it in, and that is, whatever it weighs is what it weighs. I can't stand the fact that people weigh it afterwards and then say, oh, I've got to deduct £4 or whatever. Just weigh it first, get it zeroed, and then whatever shows up on the scales is what it weighs. So there you go, a very angry Croatian carp, 37 pound-ish, proper fighting machine. I changed the bait strategy on this one. The wind has really picked up, and I was fishing a lot of crush boiler yesterday, and I think I'm fishing in about 18 foot of water, so today I'm spodding just pure boilies, 10 mils and 15 mils. They're going to hit the surface and drop straight to the bottom, where I think the crust are just drifting off with the wind and probably not getting to my spot where I want them to be. So straight boilies today, and it seems to be working.
So something a bit different to this trip than the usual bait boats or the rowing boats you would have seen us use in previous episodes. Here, you're only allowed to cast. Something you can also do to get your baits out of range is use a throwing stick. This one's carbon. I'm getting baits out over 100 yards, absolutely effortless. I'm getting no fatigue in my arm. I've decided to bring with me the 26mm version. I use this home and abroad. 15s and 18s glide out nicely, but here where you're fishing at range, you might want to use larger baits like we are. I've got some 22s and some 26mm shelf lifes. I've got 3 rods out on a plateau out there in 13 foot of water, probably fishing and spreading my bait in and around a half a tennis court size. What the throwing stick allows you to do, you can get single baits dropping in and around the vicinity of your hook baits. This will mean the fish are really confident, they're not going in closed in on a big bed of bait, they're picking up baits, grazing between one to the other, and then hopefully finding your special hook bait.
There you go, 59 pounds and 4 ounces. Proper scrap this fish. Came when I changed from using dust onto just solid 18mm boilies. Picked up a couple of little fish and I thought they're getting on the dust, so I've changed to 18mm boilies. Literally, I was on about my 5th spod and the rod's gone while I'm spomming. 59 pounds, so the change worked. Came on a Ronnie rig, testing out a new hook for that, super sharp. I've had 5 fish on that one hook now, and yeah, well chuffed with this one. That's what we come here for, and I've got a feeling this ain't the last big one, I tell you. Danny boy's got fish showing all over him, I've got fish showing over me, so I'm going to get her back, see if we can do some more damage. Me and Dan must have spommed for 2 hours today. We've put so much bait in, and it's really paid off now because the fish have turned up and we're absolutely having it off. No, that's it, it's double take. Max, get on it. Or well, check that out. That's the first, or the third of our manic trio. 46 pound 8 ounce common. And like I say, you're on timer at this place. From when you get the fish on the bank, you've got 5 minutes to get it back. So we're having to set our watch because they are strict. Look at that for a fish. Massive tail. No wonder it fought so hard. What I'm going to do when I get this back, me and Dan are going to get them mirrors on the bank and see how big they are. £40.4. Yep. So, didn't think it was that big.
35.14. 35.14.
Well, check that out. £40.4 and £36. Just part of 3 takes in about 5 minutes. It's kicking off here. It's brilliant, isn't it, Dan?
It's absolutely carnage, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, first 2 days have been pretty manic. I've got to say, I didn't expect this much action. We've had a 40, a 59, well, a few 40s, haven't we? It's been manic.
Loads of 30s.
Loads of 30s, and the spodding is non-stop. You're spodding all the time, and we've found out there's actually a guy who lives in this area who will come down, and if you pay him enough, he'll spod for you all day. But luckily for me, I've got Dan.
Yesterday we probably spent, well, I spent a good 2 hours from midday to 2, and it was like a changeover time for you from 3 till 4. The constant bait going in has kept the fish activity really wild. After a little run of smaller fish on Dave's rods, his left and right, he had a great little run, 2 40s and a 59 from a little change of tactics.
Yep, just up the bait size. We was on dust and pellet and corn, And we heard up the other end the guy had been doing well on just boilie, so I added some, you know, literally 18mm cell into the mix, and straight away 3 bigger fish. Dan put some out straight away at upper 30, so it definitely works. I think rather than just stick on boilie, we're going to go between the two. We're going to attract the fish in, put 18mm in as well, so we've got the best of both then. You're attracting fish and you've got the big fish in the area. We're only 2 days in, we've got another 6 days to go. God knows what's going to happen. 59's a big fish, but what's in here is a lot bigger, so we're aiming for the stars, aren't we, mate?
There's PBs for everyone out there.
90 pounders in here. My prediction though is that one of us, me or Dan's going to have a 70 pounder. I hope it's Dan, and that's honest. It's not a particularly enjoyable fight in this place. There's a lot of rocks and things on the bottom, so you're trying to keep them off the bottom, and when they're really big, it's like a lot of strain on the tackle, and when you get this orbit line down to its last bit, and you feel that leader come up through the eyes, that stronger bit, it's nice to know you've got the safety of the heavy tackle. Stretch out on that, Dan, that's huge. Go on, mate. Go on. Yeah. Knew that was a good one. Right from the off, I knew that was a good one. Heart rate's going through the roof. I'll never get sick of that, that's why I love carp fishing. 46.8. Check her out, nice lovely scale on the shoulder, 46 pounds and 8 ounces. And we're in bite time now, so I think it's going to kick off on mine and Dan's swim. But this is a great start to the evening. I've had the rods reeled in most of the day, giving the swim a rest, put a load of bait in. This rod's been out less than an hour, and this is the result. I think we're in for a busy evening. Oh my God, did that fish fight. Nearly pulled my arms off. And you can see by the state of the leader on the tapered leader line, it's all over the place. But a couple of stretches and it comes back into shape. I'm confident that's ready to go again. And you need these tapered leaders or some really strong leader on lakes like this. There's boulders everywhere, they're rubbing over it as they're fighting. And this really has stood the test of a battle.
The joy of using a double tapered mono, there is cases where you might get snagged, you might get cut off, or unfortunately you might crack off. With it being double tapered, there's a thick end at each end. So what you can do, you can take off the section, wind it back onto the spool, reverse it, and then the section that you've been cut away from, you will have a fresh section of a double tapered line, which goes from thin to thick. You can get the rod back out and you're fishing effectively. When you go away on these sessions, it pays to be organised. You want to have everything situated in one place, all your essential items, and a great way of doing that is the use of a bivvy table. On here, I've got all the items that I need for the week-long session that I want to keep to hand and I want to get to very quickly. I've got my receiver, I've got my head torch, the pop-ups that have been doing the business, I've got a multi-light lantern for reading at night, I've got all the TT items, everything is to hand, really easy access. The great thing about this bivvy table is also incorporating power. It's got a 9,500 milliamp battery there, which is removable. You can also buy multiple batteries, so if you want to go away for a week-long session, you can have them stacked up just like you would your camera batteries. One dies, you replace it, put another one in, stick the battery on charge. That's a great little element for you. It's got 4 adjustable legs, so it doesn't matter what terrain, the table's situated next to your bed chair. It's got a Type-C in and out, it's got a 5-volt USB, and it's an absolutely essential piece of kit. It's giving me power, it's keeping all my essential items next to me when I need them at the first port of call, and I love it. I've been using this now for 3-4 months on these European trips. Don't know how I've coped without it, and yeah, something I'd definitely take away with me.
Well, playing a fish with a lovely sunset like this in Croatia, Life don't really get much better than this, does it? Doesn't feel massive, but who cares? It's just great to be here. Absolutely love carp fishing. It's just beautiful being here. So this fish is really pulling. I've come along in front of Dan's swim, and it's got like a big deep hole in front of him, and the fish really are hugging the bottom down here. He's took a nice gulp of air, and I think that's him done. There you go. Cheers, Dan. Nice Croatian mirror. Oh, was a nice Croatian mirror. If this comes off, Dan gets us to buy drinks for a week. Just under 43 pounds of Croatian mirror, and like I said, the evenings are really kicking off, and she wants to go back home, so I'm going to let her go. Lively old carp. Literally just let that fish go and the other rod's gone, which just shows what we were saying earlier. When they come in here, they come in shoals and they're feeding heavy and they clear you out. That's why we're putting a bucket and a half in, spread over an area of a tennis court. Doesn't feel that big at all. There is a few small fish in here, and we've caught a few this week. I've had fish from £6 to £59 in the last 2 days. So every bite, as you're wondering what's on the end. 40-pounder. Well, looks like another Croatian beast. Well, check that out. 44 pounds and 8 ounces of a Croatian mirror. Caught on the Ronnie rig. I'm testing out new hooks here, and they're absolutely nailed. You wait till you see these hooks. This is now my 5th fish on that hook, and it's still super sharp.
Same time every night, getting to that magical witching hour. Just as the sun has set, the moon's coming up, stars are coming out, and the fish are playing ball. I've just lost one. I had a notification, pulled up into it, there wasn't nothing there on the right hand rod, and the left hand rod that I moved to a new spot today, fishing much shorter in, and a little bit of homework. A few fish have been showing over the last couple of nights, in close when, funny enough, I've been playing fish in the early hours of the morning. Bit of a hunch to change spots, and a few hours after introducing 5 kilo with a throwing stick earlier, it's just absolutely ramped off. Doesn't feel big again. Seems to be getting loads of bites, but from the smaller stamper fish here, yeah, it's another small one. They're all welcome. Just playing a numbers game, as I have been all trip so far, just to try and get through to one of the bigger ones. Hard fighting little mirror, doesn't want to come in. There's another one. So as it's been for the first few nights, I'm playing a numbers game, getting bites thick and fast. They really are coming in groups, shoals are moving in, left rod, middle rod, right rod, all the other way around for both me and Dave every evening. As you can see, another lovely little fish. Dave's just sorting out the fish care, he's unhooked it. We're going to slip this one back, get the rods back out and work our way through and try and get a bigger one. £40 on the nose. I have certainly worked hard for this one. My first Zajarki 40, really going through the numbers, playing the number game. It's been tiring on my body, all the spodding, using the throwing stick, getting up at night for 20s and 30s, and finally the bigger fish have turned up. Made up with this one. This is the second part of the double take. Have a good look at her, get a couple of steals, using the Elite IR on the bank stick adapter, and then we'll get this one straight back.
So I'm going to wade out now, make sure it's deep enough for the fish to go back safely. We're still under the 5-minute mark. We've been getting a call that it's just over 4 minutes from Dave helping me out. So we're going to slip this one back. Thank you, baby. And there you go.
Time stops then, 4 minutes 12.
So 4 minutes and 12 seconds from the fish coming from the landing net, doing the pictures, doing a little bit to camera. It's more than enough time and the fish has gone back safely. First one of a mega brace, thank you. That's big. Oh yes, yes. It's a very big fish, a lot bigger than I actually anticipated. Go. It's big that. 70. What the? 78. 78 pounds.
Well done, brother.
You know. 78, you better on that water.
Get in here.
Well, I ain't quite sure what to say. I ain't quite sure how to hold it. 78 pounds. Oh, it's an absolute dream. I ain't quite sure what to say or what to do. I can't put this into words at the minute. 78 pounds. Smashed my PB by 10 pounds. There's a Zajarki monster, and to say I'm blown away is an absolute understatement. I'm not sure even how I'd hold this. It's breaking my back, I'm in these. Thank you, Croatia. I'm going to get some steels and then get this monster back in the deep.
Yes, Dad. That's a box one.
Bloody amazing. I'm overwhelmed. I'm absolutely overwhelmed. Just smashed my PB. All the talk of everyone fishing at range. Got to be in extreme distances. Found a short plateau, 16 wraps. And 78 pounds later, we're going home one happy buddy.
What a hectic morning for them boys over there. For me, it was a very quiet night. I've been baiting relentlessly, but that's what you have to do here. And as you can probably see behind, they've got the throwing sticks out, I've got my one out, and it's just a case of just keeping that bait going in, and it's paid off. I mean, me and Dan were talking about how many smaller fish we were catching, and then he goes and catches an absolute giant this morning. So yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing for him. It's fantastic that he's caught that, and he's actually now in the 70s club. So welcome, Danny boy. He's now in the 70s club with me and Dave. So he'll another £10 and he'll be in the 80s club with us, but we'll see what happens with that one. But no, seriously, it's a case of getting the bait out. It's a mixture of spodding and throwing sticking, and it's just all day long. Hopefully they'll come along and they'll stay in an area, because at the moment they're starting off over in Bali Island, they're there all day, and then they drift out, and then we catch as they come along, then they stay down there for the night, and then they come back down. Unfortunately for me, I haven't had a bite this morning. I had a couple last night, but I haven't had a bite this morning, but fingers crossed they'll come back down and I'll have one before they go and sit up there.
I'm now going to talk you through my mainline setup and rig presentation for the session ahead. I'll start off with the mainline on my reel. I'm using the Orbit double tapered mainline. I'm using this in the 10 to 35. That's giving me two factors. Having the 10 pound section, it's letting me hit the main distances of over 120 yards absolutely effortless. And then the other end of the spectrum, I've got 0.57mm line, which is really strong, really abrasion resistant when I get the fish under the rod tips.
So from the main line down to my leader section, I've got 2 to 3 foot of lead-free leader. I've attached this to the main line using a Palomar knot. I'm fishing the leader helicopter style with a drop-off lead, so the second I get a take, the lead's away, the fish can come to the surface and I'm in full contact with the fish. I believe using a helicopter setup, it gives me maximum chances to hit in extreme range with less tangles. Then down to the slip D Ronnie rig presentation itself. I've got one of our new prototype size 4 medium curve shanks. These are ridiculously sharp, full faith in these. And then what I've done, I've whipped on a small section of uncoated braid. Attached to the uncoated braid, there's a mini hook ring swivel. And what I believe this rig offers, it gives you great capabilities of a Ronnie rig and a slip D all incorporated into one. It offers a low line pop-up presentation, but having the slip D factor, you've got full movement of the hook bait. When the fish picks it up, tries to blow and eject, it finds it really difficult, and it really does nail him every time.
I've just literally stopped spodding the second bite in 20 minutes. So keep feeding them and they'll come. This one's fighting pretty hard. Fishing 150 yards, so with the stretching the line and all the other bits and pieces at distance, you never really know, but as they get closer, you can feel them a little bit more, and this one feels all right. But I've got to get down now to land this one because my gilly, Dave, isn't here.
Drop.
So I've had to wade through quite a few 20 pounders to get to this one. This one goes 41 pound. We don't want to keep her out of the water too long. And let's get her back, eh? 41 pound. Spots are working. Keep baiting them and they're coming. Hopefully the bigger ones are going to follow. I'm fishing at about 150 yards, so I've chosen a rig that's definitely not going to tangle, and that's the fluorocarbon D rig, comprising of our 20 pound fluorocarbon, a size 4 curved hook, little micro rig ring and a barrel wafter. That's going to be able to move up and down, land on anything I want and not tangle at all, even casting at extreme range. I'm using a helicopter system purely because I think I'm going to get a little tiny bit more range, and also knowing that I'm definitely not going to get any tangles. I'm going to be doing a lot of casting at night because the bites on here are meant to be all night bites, and you know, with a leg clip I can see it in flight normally, so that's fine, but at night I'm definitely not going to be able to. So in my opinion, a helicopter system with a rig like this is absolutely essential when casting at night and knowing I'm not going to get tangles. I've got about 4 foot of lead-free leader. That's just to cover me on any bars, any bits of gravel, any bits of crap out there. I'm just going to be sitting over there knowing that everything's going to be laying flat around the rig. So I'm fishing a little wafter bait over here, and that's going to sit over any debris. It's got a nice slow sinking bait. It's going to land on anything, gravel, silt, little bits of weed. It's going to sit perfectly every time. I want it pretty close to the deck because I'm feeding boilies, crushed boilies, halves, chops, little bits and pieces, and I want them to be able to go there. I don't want anything blatant in their face. So for me, little brown wafter is what I'm going with to start with. So when the rig sits down, the hook's going to lay perfectly on the bottom. Bait's going to just waft above it, giving me loads of movement, and when the fish comes in, suck it up, and because there's a neutral buoyancy on the weight, it's going to fly up into the fish's mouth. I'm dropping the lead on every take. There's a lot of bars and gravel and bits of rubbish out here, and what that's going to do is going to drop the lead, fish is going to come to the surface, make my life a lot easier when playing them.
What the hell is that? You've been putting stuff in this tackle box?
No, don't touch your tackle box.
Well, you don't bloody buy penguins like that. All the dye's gone all in my gear. What the f***'s it done to this?
You said your tackle box, yeah. I might have done something to that.
What have you put on that? It's f***ing leaked all in my tackle box, has.
Insect repellent. So, same you put all over my wine gums. But the only difference is I ate a wine gum and took all the skin off of my tongue.
You've done something else in here. You're laughing too much.
Now we're equal. You're lucky I didn't put it on your blow-up dough, it would have popped. It's absolutely ripped off. And we're into another fish. Doesn't feel that big, but they don't always. A lot of the big fish, they tend to hold water for a lot longer, but sometimes they do surprise you. When Dan had the big one this morning, we really didn't think it was a big fish. It was fighting really hard, but fast, and normally a fish of that size ain't got that kind of speed in it, but this one has certainly done a few 50-60 yards to my left, just trying to not take out Dan's lines as it comes through. Only a small one for this lake. I want to get it back quick so I can get that rod out before it gets dark.
It's the witching hour, seems to be every single night. Fish are moving out from the right to the left. And you get the spot. I've been spotting for about an hour and a half now, and a range of roughly 150, 160 yards. And I've just lost one on my middle rod. Unfortunately, there's a lot of lines out in the lake, a lot of crap out there, and I've lost one out there. But fortunately, my left-hand rod has followed it. It seems to be, if you put the bait out, they come, and when they come in, they get there and you can have 2 or 3 bites. I mean, for me, this is the time I can catch them, because within the next hour, I think they're going to be up there. And then my next chance is probably in the morning, so I kind of have to make hay while the sun shines in this swim. This is on the fluoro D rig with a little 15mm barrel wafter. I think this one's on a white one, but I might be wrong. Colour choice has not really been a matter. I've been catching them on white, yellow and brown. So it's been a bit of a lottery. I didn't really mind which one I used. I've been getting bites on them all, so. Feeding a mixture of whole boilies, crushed boilies and pellet. It seems to be working. Putting in roughly 15, 20 kilo a day. All with a spot at 150 yards, so it's not easy. Come on, be a decent fish. Another one in the net. I haven't seen one this big all week. Well, not in my swim anyway. It's not an absolute colossal monster, you know, 60 pounder, but it's definitely bigger than the ones I've been catching, which, oh, relief, because we're going home tomorrow.
46 to 12.
That'll do. Hi, mate. So there you go. 46. Ooh, not. See you later, fish. 46 to 12, didn't want a photo. Oh well, never mind. There's plenty more out there. See what we can do.
Good fish, that one. Yes. Hurry up, come on.
60 pound 61.2, yes! 61.2, boy.
61 pound and 2 ounces. Just wanted one big fish to make it 10 40s this week. And what a one. 61 pound. I am over the moon, so chuffed. This is what we come here for, these beasts. And we've done it.
Well, that's it. Our week has come to a close in Croatia. It's been a fantastic week for all three anglers. Myself, on a personal note, I'm leaving here one happy monkey. I've had a new personal best of 78.6. I couldn't be any more happier. For the boys here, they've had numbers and numbers of fish and some really nice carp.
For me, I've had a really good week. I got into loads and loads of fish. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the big one. The one 46 pounder I did catch, didn't want a photo and slid out between my legs, so it is what it is. But Danny Boy catching that monster has made the week top notch. So yeah, actually, overall, I'm really happy. I'm tired, but I'm happy.
I'm tired. We have spommed all week, day and night. We've put over 100 kilo of bait in. It's been non-stop, but it's been great fun. We've all caught some lovely fish. I've had fish up to over 60 pound. Dan's fish was definitely the highlight of the week, an absolute monster. But I tell you what, we're going to get on the road now. We're going to travel to another country, to a place that no one's ever been that we know, with massive carp, unknown. Should we go and do it?
Yep, another week, eh? Let's do this.
Big carp, food and beer.
Well, it's the last morning. I haven't been on handycam much this week. I've been fishing on my own, so banter's been a bit quiet, but it's the last morning now. We're just packing up and we're all going to go for a shower. And do you remember when Dave wiped his arse on my pillow? Well, I've got some of these Carolina Reaper pods and I'm going to feed them into his shower gel. So that should be fun, Dave. Let's see where you wipe that stuff.
How are they going to resist that? I tell you what, I want to eat it myself.
That was a huge fish then. Huge fish. It was huge.
You've got it moving. It's literally effortless. That I can't even say it. It's literally no effort to skim that spomming across the surface. My first impression says Zajarki. Zajarki? Off you.
It ain't Zajarki.
Johnny Versace.